Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritland, back with another countdown. These are 20 terrible WWE storylines. Firstly, I want to credit I'm Valena on Twitter for coming up with this topic. And this is obviously going to be the first in a series just about terrible wrestling storylines in general, because if I wanted to just, slam them all, regardless of company, into one countdown, I could do a top 50 and not even scratch the surface. Because as much as I love wrestling, and WWE's been around for a while, WCW had some good and bad storylines, ECW had good and bad, New Japan, Impact Wrestling, TNA, whatever you want to call it, all other companies had some good and some bad, because unfortunately, regardless of who's booking it, regardless of how much of a creative genius they are, there are some storylines that just simply don't pan out, and that's the case here. So obviously, I'm going to keep this list, and that way I can refer to it like, okay, wait, part 2, I need to reference this, and I'll reference this, but my God, this is going to be so goddamn fun, and it's just fun to rip on some of these bad storylines, and some of these could have actually worked, but honestly, most of these were just doomed from the very start. So here we go. Number 20, what's in Rowan's cage? The most recent one to start all the way back in November of last year and then went to, like just a couple weeks ago. It was a fake mechanical spider and everything that wouldn't have even passed for anything on an MST3K episode. They know something about doing spider-related stuff. Earth versus a Spider, the Giant Spider Invasion, Horror Spider Island, and I'm sure some others that I'm missing. My God, it was a fake mechanical spider that... Erick Rowan's cage, this whole idea of it, it was stupid anyway. It was supposed to bite him, so he was supposed to get angry. And it was this weird, mystery and everything. We all wanted to know what was in it. And I knew, excuse me, right off the bat that it was going to be shit. And Erick Rowan is a mid-level guy. He's not anything, he's not anybody that's going to be anything more than like a tag team champion. Whether he's a good athlete or not, he's injury-prone, and he's also not very interesting as a character. Nothing against the guy, but you give this guy, who hasn't really meant much of anything besides teaming with Daniel Bryan and teaming with Harper, he hasn't meant anything to anybody, for at least the vast majority of fans, 4 years, and you give him this, carrying a cage, killing jobbers, which, yes, squash matches are cool, but they're doing all this stuff to try and get him over, and it doesn't do any good. It didn't do any good. It did not do any good at all. They were trying to get him beloved by the fans or hated by the fans or whatever. They were trying to get fans interested in him, and it didn't work. They apparently just decided to scrap it and say, oh, just put a fake mechanical spider out there, pal. It's such good shit. I could see Vince actually saying that. This went on for months and months and took up so much TV time, and it was pointless. Even if it was just like 5 minutes dedicated a week, it felt like 5 goddamn years. It's just... This was shit. This was absolute goddamn shit. But enough about that. Let's get to some better, no, actually worse stuff. Because number 19, the Ultimate Warrior Papa Shango feud. Remember that storyline of Papa Shango being, by the way, the future Godfather, the future Kama Mustafa. And, he was, Papa Shango was not the right gimmick for Charles. That's basically what I'm going to say. With this, he was supposed to be a voodoo priest and everything, and he was... making Warrior bleed black goo from his forehead and making him throw up and stuff like that. And the matches were fucking shit. I remember seeing this even as 11 years old and thinking, this is stupid. By then, I had already gotten sick of the Ultimate Warrior, piece of shit that he was. But I gravitated more towards Bret Hart. But I'm watching this like, this is even more childish than I would want to, than I would want to deal with. I mean, it's just... Like, I can't even, wrap my head around why this was ever thought of as a good idea. I mean, yeah, sure, you want to keep Warrior in the title picture. Okay, give him a feud. But you're giving him this. And this is before they had Raw. Like, this is their syndicated tapings. Like, Superstars, they did have Saturday Night's Main Event still going on, at least until the end of this year. They had this going on, and what the fuck was this? Voodoo stuff, I mean, everything, it's like we didn't believe that Warrior was actually bleeding crude oil from his goddamn forehead, and we sure as fuck didn't believe, that he was gonna puke or whatever, or he was gonna pull a Linda Blair and everything and spew pea soup over everybody. It was just so fucking stupid, and it has aged terribly. A lot of these storylines, honestly, have aged like milk on the goddamn moon, which I don't even know if that could age or just, whatever. because physics are not my, physics and science are not exactly something that I'm totally familiar with, but I can't imagine Milk on the Moon would be very good. It'd be more interesting than this fucking shit. So here we go. Number 18. Shawn Michaels, I lost my smile. I relinquished the title in the fallout because he had to take a break because his knee and everything, and he didn't want to drop the title to goddamn Brett. And yeah, I'm going to rail against Shawn Michaels for a bit, as great of an in-ring performer as he was. And yes, he had a great resurgence when he came back in 2002 and had tremendous performances. But this threw everything out of whack. I mean, Shawn and Brett, whether the match would have been all that good or not at Mania 13, that was still the goal. And it pretty much just torpedoed everything with the championship picture. You did get Taker versus Sid, which was nice, and Taker won the championship at Mania, and Brett did get to face Austin, but you had Shawn, who had lost the championship to Sid at Survivor Series 96, won it back at Royal Rumble 97, had his knee issue. Sure, wrestling is a tough business. It's a tough sport. Obviously, injuries do happen. But it just felt like Shawn just decided to just take the ball and go home. And that was one of the worst things about it. And he was back on commentary doing all this stuff and everything. And he was back in the ring, by May? He wasn't even gone all that long. It's just, this is the fucking shit that I just can't stand. It was just so fucking irritating because it just threw more fuel on the fire, of Shawn not wanting to ever lose championships and everything. And it once again threw everything out of whack for Brett, in regards to heading into Mania for a championship picture. I mean, geez, it's like Mania 9. I mean, I could talk about Mania 9 if I wanted, but I'll save that for another day. I've ranted about Mania 9 plenty. So then we get to number 17. Hey, remember when they had Natalya Fart for no goddamn reason? It was supposed to gross people out and everything. You have this technical wizard, this great talent that has wrestled all over the world that WWE got. Jim Neidhart, great tag team wrestler. And, his daughter getting into wrestling and everything, and a legit, tough, badass girl. Somebody that is, technically sound. What do you do with her? You fucking have her fart. That's what you have her do. I wouldn't have been shocked if she had left. Hell, I'll tell you right now, if this had happened and there were more independents going on and more companies paying their women pretty well, I wouldn't have been amazed if Natalya decided to leave. Now, I don't know what the reason for this exactly was, and credit to her, she pulled it off just fine, and seemingly had fun with it. But my God, looking at all this stuff, the farting gimmick, just why? Just fucking why? Why would you do this to somebody so gifted? And I know that there are Natalya detractors out there. I'm a fan of her, but even if you're not the biggest fan of her, how is this a good use of anybody? How is this a good use of any good talent? I mean, shit, I wouldn't say I wouldn't wish this on somebody I really didn't like on TV, but even then, you got all these people that are really, really good, and you saddle them with these bullshit gimmicks. I mean, fuck, this isn't as bad as the gobbledygooker, don't worry, that's another thing that I could save for another video, and in fact, I will. But my God, farting for such a technically gifted wrestler, good Lord. But then we get to number 16. Hey, we go all the way back to 2007. We have Vince McMahon as ECW champion. Because ECW, and under the WWE umbrella, wasn't already dead as it is. December to Dismember pretty much indicated that it was. But okay, hey, they got this, they got these talents in there. Originals, you can get them over, can do some stuff. We can build this. We can use it like a third brand, a developmental brand and everything. And we got a TV deal. We could do that. We could make some cool people ECW champion, or we could put it on Bobby Lashley, who, bless Bobby Lashley, great talent. Nobody fucking wanted him as champion, or at least the vast majority of people didn't seem to. And as good as he was, and still is, don't get me wrong, he's certainly better than a lot of the shit he's been getting. But he loses, and granted, it was all with shenanigans and stuff like that, and the Umaga-Lashley feud continued and stuff like that, and Vince McMahon ended up as ECW champion. Vince McMahon ended up holding the ECW championship for a couple months. I mean, or at least, well, actually, I think it was maybe about 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks. But still, the whole point of it is Vince McMahon, in 1999, when he won the WWE Championship, he relinquished it, like, what, 3 days later? That made sense. That at least made sense and led to a storyline. It wasn't great, but it led to something. It was just another title change and everything, or hot potatoing as a championship. Nothing like the WCW 2000 world title picture. Sweet Christ. I got retro reviews, by the way, coming up of Uncensored 95 and Uncensored 2000 because I hate myself and I suffer for everybody else. But if you've seen those pay-per-views, you know that sometimes bad wrestling is just as entertaining as good wrestling. So with this, Vince as ECW champion, if that wasn't the death nail of the ECW brand and the fact that nobody was going to take it seriously, if December to Dismember didn't convince you of that, this, with Vince, convinced you of that. Okay, I covered a lot of city blocks to get to a really bad pun, but that's par for the course. He eventually did lose it to Lashley, and then Lashley would relinquish it when he got drafted to, like, Raw or something like that. And, yeah, that was just Vince McMahon, ECW champion, fucking seriously. Okay, number 15, the summer of 2015, we go to the Dolph Ziggler, Lana, Rusev, and Summer Rae fiasco of fucking bullshit. You remember this? Rusev had already had all the momentum taken away from him. Yes, he lost to John Cena. We got John Cena's U.S. Open Challenge out of it. Okay, you could still do something with Rusev after he loses a rematch. Or he could lose to Cena in another pay-per-view. I think he was injured at the time. I think he suffered an ankle injury or something like that. And instead of making him a sympathetic babyface, making him getting the crowd to care about him, now they decided to involve him in a love angle. Split him and Lana up. This is back, of course, when Lana served a purpose on TV as opposed to not needing to be on TV now. But a real-life couple, we knew they were a real-life couple. And yeah, age of social media, obviously, you could go all the way back to like World Class Championship Wrestling with Jimmy Garvin, Precious and Sunshine, that whole storyline and stuff like that. But with this, we knew they were married, or not married, they would get engaged a little bit later. We knew they were together, and they've been together for a bit. The money at this time was them together, but no, we decided to have, Rusev be emotionally abusive towards Lana, so she would go with Dolph, and then Rusev would get Summer Rae, and then we would have, all these freaking skits, this bullshit stuff that went on forever and ever. 2015 was a rotten goddamn year. If I had actually had a working laptop at the time before I'd gotten, a good cell phone like this, I would have probably been cutting scathing rants of those particular Raws because whoever was writing them, and I'm pretty certain Vince was, it was designed to get fans to tune out. There were times I didn't even watch Raw live. I was just like, fuck it. I'll wait for the West Coast thing. I'm not even going to bother. Now I watch it live every week, much to my chagrin and much to, the detriment of my sanity. But this stuff made so many fans like, what the fuck are we watching? Bad soap opera stuff has popped into wrestling for years and years and years, especially since the 80s, since the advent of cable television and all that stuff and everything. Relationship issues and all that do sell. The problem with this is it wasn't anything good. And Summer, bless her, Summer seemed like she was trying Dolph. That was, I guess, when we were supposed to care about Dolph Ziggler. I mean, 5 years ago I still didn't. Or I really didn't. But then Lana and Rusev, it took them getting engaged for real to drop the storyline. And then Lana got humiliated on TV where Rock basically implied that Lana was really easy and would take the entire football team and stuff like that. And I don't know if he used those exact words. I kind of pushed it out of my mind. But yeah, it took two people actually being happy and getting engaged and everything to end this storyline that went on for months. It went on for months. And it was terrible. No, and then we go to 2001. We go to entry number 14 for the Invasion, the WWE versus WCW ECW Invasion. I could do an entire series on this. I actually did fantasy book this back in 2016, summer of 2016. We're almost coming up on 4 years since I've done that. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. If Vince McMahon hadn't been so stupid with spending money on the XFL and had wanted to buy people's contracts out, or at least wait a bit, do stuff where people are getting integrated and everything and do a slow invasion and do stuff, sure, it could have worked because you would have had all these talents there, and then you could have had the invasion happen when more of these contracts would expire. Flair, Sting, Luger. I mean, they had a chance with those. I wouldn't have really bothered with Luger, piece of shit that he is. But they could have had Hogan, Hall, Nash. They could have paid that stuff out, but I don't blame them for sitting at home. This was an ill-timed, ill-advised run that actually, it destroyed. And I don't use buried too lightly. This buried everybody. It did. Booker T was actually about the only one that even kind of looked like a star. And even then, by Mania 18, he was facing Edge in a fake Japanese shampoo commercial sponsorship match. They were fighting over shampoo, a sponsorship that didn't exist. But they treated Booker like a friggin' afterthought. Rock, does the whole back thing and they face each other and turn around. And then Rock's like, who the hell are you? That right there. And Booker had a pretty good, time where he invaded and attacked Austin and all that stuff. And it was so fucking stupid. It was so fucking goddamn stupid. I can't fucking believe that they went on doing this for months and months and months. And they didn't bother using anybody really all that well. They had DDP show up as the Undertaker's, the stalker of his wife. Well, his wife at the time. DDP, one of the most over talents, one of the best stories in WCW, rising up as he did at his age, working hard and everything, becoming a 3-time WCW champion, even if he didn't hold all that long. And they made him the stalker to the Undertaker's wife. Yeah, what the fuck? And there were a whole bunch of others and everything. It was doomed. It was snake bit from the start. We then get to number 14, Piggy James. Take a look at how Mickie James looked in 2009. And WWE was apparently saying that, oh, she's fat, she's disgusting, she's all this. No, she's fucking not. Mickie James is a beautiful woman. Mickie James is goddamn gorgeous. She really, really is. Mickie James deserved better than this goddamn storyline. And Michelle McCool and Layla, bless them, they were told to do this, and I'm not going to necessarily knock that, unless it turns out that, McCool or somebody, really wanted to do this to make fun of Mickie for no goddamn reason. I guess Mickie, there was rumors of her ruffling feathers backstage, but still, fucking still, why do you make fun of somebody's weight, even back then? That's why women weren't taken all that seriously in WWE, because they weren't given any good storylines. You had Mickie and Trish. Mickie, who's one of the best goddamn workers in the world. Layla, who's pretty good. Michelle McCool, who's a pretty good worker. I always thought she was a little overhyped, but these are still 3 pretty damn good talents in a sea of bad booking. In a sea of very bad booking. I'm not even going to say a sea of shit. There were women that could and couldn't work there, but they were also just casting the roles that they were in. This is strictly, and I bet it was Laurinaitis. I bet it was John Laurinaitis, because he disrespects women, because Laurinaitis is a piece of shit. But Piggy James, they made fun of her doing the whole, old McDonald had a farm thing and all that. And it's just fucking shit. Why? Fucking why would you do this? Why would you do this? God, I'm running so long, guys. I think I might make this a part 2, for God's sakes, because I didn't realize I was going to get this fired up. Hooray! So, yeah, Piggy James. Oh, and she won the championship for 3 weeks after the Rumble, and then dropped it a few weeks later. That's good. That's a good way to just blow this whole thing off. Hey, Mickie, you got all this, we made fun of you and everything. Here's the title reign. Yeah, I'm going to hold it till Mania. Yeah, about that. No, you're going to lose it back to McCool. Good. So good. Oh, and Vicky Guerrero hit a frog splash, at the Mania 26 10-woman tag that went 5 minutes. So, yeah, I don't know why they didn't like Mickie James. Hopefully she's recovered from her injury, because I know she suffered a bad knee injury. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty bad. So we then get to the final 2 entrants of this video, and then I'm actually going to do part 2 for the top 10. Because, fucking hell, didn't think I was going to get so fired up. Number 12. Well, go all the way back to 1991. Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan, that build, and the whole Gulf War fallout, everything, and all that, and oh my God, this was badly timed. Using conflicts and everything, and stuff like that, is not the worst thing in the world. Because a lot of wrestling companies have done stuff like that. They're all the way back in, the late 40s, early 50s, and stuff like that, carrying on from World War II with the German characters and the Japanese characters in the States, and also the American characters over there in Japan, all that wrestling. There was just a lot of stuff that they were doing to, play off of all this real life stuff. So Vince McMahon decided to sink his teeth into that, the real life, Gulf War, conflict over in Iraq. Sergeant Slaughter had been, a good guy for a while. He had left Vince when he'd gotten the deal with Hasbro, G.I. Joe, and had, like he was going to be America's hero. He was going to be all this. He was going to be all that. He was going to be all that in a bag of chips. And he wrestled in other companies. He wrestled in, I believe, in Crockett for a little bit. Mainly wrestled in AWA for a while. And he earned his money from there. He was, G.I. Joe character, even in the animated series. So what do they do? Hogan wants, a bad guy to face. So they decided to turn Sergeant Slaughter bad. And I don't remember if the deal had ended or if it ended because of this. But Slaughter decided to come back to work. He wanted to play a bad guy. And he had played a bad guy before. He'd actually played a pretty damn good bad guy in a couple companies, including WWF. So it wasn't like he was not good as a heel, but they decided to have him be like, a guy that turned his back on his country and everything and was an Iraqi sympathizer. Well, soldiers were legit dying over there, and it just was badly done. Also, this was around the time where Vince McMahon decided, hey, I'm going to throw, WrestleMania 7 into Los Angeles Coliseum where the Trojans played. 100-something thousand people. Holy crap. Holy crap. That's a lot of people. Or 90-something thousand, whatever it was. So, he had hyped that, and it was even at the Royal Rumble. Go back and watch it on the network. He decided that Slaughter was told, hey, burn the American flag. I'm not going to do that. He decided to burn Hulk Hogan's shirt. Which, that was sometime after the Rumble and stuff like that, because they wanted him to do that. And he would burn Hogan's shirt. And that guy, I remember being pretty angry about that, because I was still a Hogan fan, because I was 10 years old and I was an idiot. But he beats Warrior, wins the championship. They cool off on all that stuff and everything because threats were legit made to Slaughter's household and his wife. But my God, it was just so tasteless, so bad. It didn't even help with ticket sales. They had to move WrestleMania 7 indoors. The deal was, they said it was because of security concerns. They had only sold 17,000 tickets. And that was, with a number of weeks left until the date. They weren't even going to get that thing half full. So a half full, yes, it would have been, 45, 50,000, but in a 100,000 seat, Coliseum Stadium, it wouldn't have been good. It wouldn't have been good at all. I mean, I actually don't know what the legit amount of people is. I think it's more like 85, 90,000, but somebody can correct me on that because I don't have the attendance figures for every stadium in my head, but it was a lot of people and they weren't selling enough tickets. So then they moved that in there, and then Hogan beat Slaughter. And they did this, and then they had Hogan's face get burned when they did this. The fact that it was taking place during the Gulf War and they did this shit was so fucking ridiculous. It's fucking terrible. It's absolutely fucking terrible. In fact, guys, I'm just going to end this right here, and I'm going to do parts, I'm going to do 11 through 1 here, and I'll put that part up afterwards because I'm running long-winded, and I'm going to make this two-part. I have a whole lot of fun. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.